Hello, good evening. Welcome to ITV News. This is Tuesday night's calendar.
Thank you very much for joining us. Here are tonight's main stories.
Fire crews have been battling a blaze on the North York moors for nearly 24 hours as temperatures turn the land into a tinderbox.
Here on Langdale Moor, we've been speaking to visitors concerned about the impact of this fire on this beautiful part of our region.
End of the line. We follow a police operation at York Station as officers work to derail county-lined drug gangs.
Love them or hate them, how the warmer weather has brought a sting in the tail with an ever-growing wasp population.
And growing for all the right reasons here at Benningborough Hall in the face of our changing climate, inspired by Italy and Mediterranean garden. The facts and the forecast a little later on.
So first tonight to a major operation underway in North Yorkshire to contain a huge moorland blaze close to an important military base. Firefighters have been battling the flames on land next to RAF Fylingdales for almost 24 hours, but the fire is still growing.
RAF Fylingdales is next to the Langdale Moor and provides continuous ballistic missile early warning service to the UK and US governments. People living nearby have been told to keep their doors and windows closed. Well, Sally Patterson is at the scene for us now. Sally, what more can you tell us?
Well, the smoke behind me continues to billow out over the North York Moor. And even in the time that we've been here, the smoke has got substantially worse. We've seen fire engines heading over to the scene. And I've just got off the phone with the group manager of North Yorkshire Fire and Rescue Service. And he's told me that it's now spread to 1.5 kilometres by 1.5 kilometres. And this fire is affecting both moorland and forestry. He says 10 fire appliances are trying to tackle this blaze. And there are special wildlife resources on site as well. Because of the location of the fire, it's very difficult to get water there, which is proving challenging for emergency services, but he says that they will continue to tackle it in the hours ahead, but it could be some time before it's under control. The wind is also changing, which is causing issues, and they haven't yet determined a cause of this fire. To give you a sense of scale, I just want you to see these drone pictures playing out. They are from earlier, and they show that originally this was 300 metres by 300 metres, and it has since spread to, as I say, 1.5 kilometres by 1.5 kilometres. That's vastly bigger than it was. And you can see how much of the area is burning here on Langdale Moor. Now, this is obviously a very busy period for visitors to this part of the region, and you can just see around me how dry the land is. We haven't seen rain here in many days, and it is having an effect here. I was speaking to some of those tourists coming here to enjoy the land, and they've said they're very worried about the drought.
It can be concerning. I don't think we've had anything like this for a long time. Usually the weather is really unpredictable in the sense that we do have showers of rain quite often, but this year has been slightly different, so I suppose it kind of throws up the unknown really, doesn't it?
And if this is happening now today, there's nothing to stop it happening again tomorrow, because tomorrow's supposed to be extremely hot. So there is, I assume, a greater risk to this landscape catching fire, yeah.
Now, the dry weather isn't just fueling fires, it's also having a serious impact on our water reserves here. Just today, we had a note from Yorkshire Water asking people to continue to preserve that precious resource. That's just over a month after a hosepipe ban came in across Yorkshire. Now, reservoir stocks have fallen over the last 7 days to 42.2%. That's far below the average of nearly 75% and the lowest that they've ever been at this time of year. And what we're really hearing from the fire services here is a real warning that people need to stay away from this area. They say, please don't come and look at it. Please don't get in the way of them trying to do their jobs. They have warned people who are in the direct firing line of that smoke, which is being felt all the way over by the coast over in Whitby, to close their windows, stay indoors and look after themselves as they try and get this dangerous fire under control.
OK, Sally, live at Langdale Moor, thank you.
And let's stay in North Yorkshire for our next story. Investigations are underway after a woman was seriously injured in a York village and the suspect found dead in a nearby park. Police were called to a property in Neyburn at around 6 p.m. yesterday after reports of an assault and found a woman with a serious head injury. The suspect left the scene and his body was later found. Police aren't looking for anyone else in connection with his death and they believe both individuals did know each other.
A former hospital radio DJ who a judge has described as cunning and calculated has been jailed for sexually abusing a boy 3 decades ago in Harrogate. Adrian Phipps, who is 66, denied indecently assaulting a boy under the age of 16 but was today found guilty. The assaults took place at a shop between 1995 and 1996 while Phipps was volunteering as a radio DJ at Harrogate District Hospital. He was sentenced to 4 years and 4 months in prison.
Investigations are continuing after gunshots were fired at a house and car in Sheffield. Armed police were called to Wensley Street in Burngreave last night after a member of the public raised the alarm. They found a property had been hit by gunfire, while a wider search found similar damage to a car. There have been no reports of any injuries and officers remain at the scene.
Passengers arriving into York by train today were met with a rather different reception as part of a crackdown on crime.
British Transport Police were carrying out an operation to tackle County Line's criminals who use the rail network.
Well, that meant everyone coming in and out of the station today had to walk through a knife arch and past police dogs. Our reporter Jenny Henry caught up with those behind it.
Suspected, stopped and searched. During our filming at York Station today, one man was found to be carrying an amount of illegal drugs. Then, 2 others, both spoken to, suspected of theft. British Transport Police stopping criminals in their tracks today as they head to and from the historic city of York.
We're basically looking to safeguard those that have been caught up in County Line's activity, to make arrests and to really disrupt those criminal networks that are involved in exploiting young children and vulnerable adults. So York is one of a number of key locations which is a gateway to other cities where we know this activity is taking place. So we use intelligence to inform our deployments, identify places like this and then deploy. You might not be able to see us, but we're always on deployment every single day, in plain clothes, at stations, or mass events like this. You never know where you're going to see us, and we will find you and we will disrupt your activity.
Using metal detectors, covert officers and sniffer dogs, police were here to catch anything suspicious before it could travel any further. York is a real busy hub of transport with 11 platforms and hundreds of trains coming in and out every day. And with services to the UK's major cities, police believe it can be a hotspot for criminals abusing the rail network to spread their activity across the country. County Line's gangs often target children to transport money, drugs and weapons, usually from cities to smaller towns and rural areas like those across North Yorkshire. Today we know one 15-year-old boy was successfully safeguarded.
The average age that we would see between 15 and 17. However, we have seen children younger than that, and we have heard and know that children as young as 9 are being exploited and used. Children are often used because they can travel undetected, unseen. They will be carrying drugs, money and potentially weapons around. They're often a threat. They're going to properties and places that are really dangerous. So it's really critical that we do everything we can to disrupt and deter people from using children to carry drugs around the network.
This isn't the first operation of its kind here at York Station, and it won't be the last, with British Transport Police giving the clear message that time's up for criminal activity on our railways. Jenny Henry, ITV News.
Yes, criminals beware. Now then, this is Tuesday's calendar with Lisa Adlam and Ian White. Thanks for being with us. Still to come, why the hot weather could mean wasps are hanging around for longer.
And yes, it's a heat wave, but no, we're not in the Mediterranean. I'm at Benningborough Hall near York. But why am I in these fantastic gardens? Find out more a little later on.
But next, there's a warning that driving while tired still poses a serious risk on our region's roads. After a major survey revealed just 44% of motorists in our region would pull over if they felt drowsy.
Well, this was illustrated in the most shocking way 24 years ago when 10 people died after a passenger train collided with a car which had ploughed down an embankment and onto the East Coast main line at Great Heck near Selby. The driver had fallen asleep at the wheel.
Well, now a new study is part of a major campaign by National Highways to encourage people to make regular stops on their summer trips.
In the second of our two-part series, Safe Travels, Dangers on the Road, Nick Smith reports on the risks caused by driving without taking breaks.
The big summer getaway is already well underway, with millions of us packing up the car, often driving for hours on end for a well-earned holiday. For National Highways patrols like this one, it's one of their busiest periods of the year.
How often were you attending incidents and then you'd find that that driver had been on the road, 3, 4, maybe 5, even more hours without actually making a stop?
I think at this time of the year it's a particular issue for us out here. I think people are quite desperate to get to destinations as quick as possible, and perhaps they don't plan their journeys as well as they could. It is a common issue for us, drivers getting overtired and making mistakes.
Figures from the last 5 years indicate there is a 59% increase in fatigue-related road traffic collisions during the summer months, often due to holidaymakers trying to drive long distances and losing their concentration.
In the past, I've had somebody coming home from the Glastonbury Festival and they've ended up being in an RTC at 5:30 in the morning, and because of that sort of cumulative driving hours, it has led to them being so fatigued that they've ended up losing their senses essentially, and ended up spinning out and having a crash.
So there's a few ways fatigue manifests itself when you're driving. That could be a lack of concentration, maybe a bit more aggression when you're driving as well. And at the more extreme end of the scale, you can have micro sleeps where you kind of nod off effectively for a couple of seconds whilst you're driving. The advice is very simple: 15-minute break for every 2 hours of driving.
National Highways have teamed up with organisations like English Heritage to come up with an online tool to map popular stops on our major routes, suggesting iconic sites like this for those passing through our region.
So we've got Scarborough Castle, it's just off the A171. You've got fantastic views there of the bay and the harbour, and then you've also got the grassy meadows, which are bigger than 12 football pitches. We have sites all over the country, up and down, and it's really important that you take those breaks and you rest and you burn off some energy with the children, have a drink and a slice of cake and enjoy our historic sites.
So whether it's a coffee, a comfort break or a bit of sightseeing, planning stop-offs on long journeys this summer could help prevent yourself and any passengers from running into serious harm. Nick Smith, ITV News.
Yes, take those breaks. Now then, more news, and latest government figures show unemployment in the Callander region is up by 1.2% from this time last year. It's revealed more men are unemployed in our region than women, with 5.4% of men marked as without work in the last 3 months, compared to 4.1% of women. It comes as figures show the UK's rate is stuck at a 4-year high.
Protesters gathered at Keighley Picture House today over fears the historic cinema could close. Bradford Council, which currently owns the site, is putting it up for sale. Campaigners are worried the building, which is more than a century old, could be turned into flats or offices. But the council insists that business will run as usual as soon as a new landlord has been found.
Well, it just depends who it is. On the one hand, they've advertised the potential for redevelopments, and on the other hand, they've said there's potential for increasing the rent. Well, I can't pay any more rent, I can tell you that.
It's a step back in time. It's not corporate. Every person that comes through that door matters, and most of them are known by name. And you don't go anywhere and get that anymore. And it's history, Keighley history, lost forever. They have no business to call themselves a city of culture.
Now, part of Rotherham's bin collections have been suspended due to staffing shortages. The council says it's only the brown bins, which are for garden waste, that are affected, which residents actually pay extra for.
It's a blow for those who take pride in their gardens at the very height of the season. And it comes as the option to even sign up for a brown bin has been taken off the council's website.
Well, the authority has apologised for the inconvenience, but residents are questioning what they're paying for if their local authority can't provide the basics. Vicky Smith reports.
At the peak of the season, Norman's garden is a labour of love. With all the beauty comes a lot of waste. But despite paying nearly £50 extra for his garden bin, he's now stuck at the busiest time of year.
The question, of course, is where do we put the stuff? How do we get rid of it? I mean, as you can see, my trees are starting to get ready for cutting, got the secateurs ready, and I've nowhere to put the stuff. The bin's full. So yes, we recycle as much as we possibly can do, but there's only so much that you can recycle at home, and you've got to rely on the local authority to actually take away the waste.
Good to see you.
Norman's being supported by his local councillor, who says he's not alone in his frustration.
They didn't give councillors any forewarning about this, and I've since got lots of correspondence from rightly frustrated residents who have felt the experience of having almost 25,000 missed bin collections in the last few weeks in Rotherham, and now the council have decided to abandon altogether the brown bin collection service, a service that is paid for.
The brown bins may be on pause, but for many the maintenance isn't. People are being encouraged to go to recycling centres or simply wait until the 1st of September when it's expected the service will resume.
Well, we've got new people starting this week and next week. We're in an induction.
The council has admitted to having staffing shortages, forcing them into the temporary pause last week.
Normally we recruit agency staff to backfill, but this year, for whatever reason, there's been less agency people around.
People would say that this is a very basic level of service. Bins are, you know, the bread and butter of local authorities, and that's not happening. What would you say to those people?
Absolutely right. I mean, people expect it to get that service, and you know, we're very sorry we've had to take this action, but we've had to prioritise so that we can focus on the types of waste that are more problematic at this time of year.
As if to underline those staffing shortages, we had arranged to speak with someone from a waste management company who had to cancel on our interview at the last minute because they're flat out. They're now worried that if people can't get rid of their waste properly, that's when other problems start. Norman is trying to do the right thing, but there's 3 weeks to go and his bins are already overflowing. Vicky Smith, ITV News, Rotherham.
I wonder what you think about that. It's certainly an issue that's got lots of you talking over on our Facebook page. Michelle Ann got in touch and said, I want to know if I'll be getting a refund, seeing as I've paid for something that I'm not actually getting.
Yes, and Mags Dalton, who's from Rotherham, agreed with Norman, who we saw in our report there, because she said the timing's horrendous. It's the time of year that a lot of annual plants need cutting back. Now I've got to bag everything up and take it to the tip at extra cost.
And Amanda Pearce said maybe the council could provide everyone who paid for the brown bin a composter. Thank you for all of your comments.
Yes, and do keep them coming. Now the ITV Evening News is coming up after calendar. Let's take a look at the headlines with Mary Nightingale.
Coming up this evening, Jess Carter helped England win the Euros, but at what cost, given the racist abuse she endured? The England player speaks to ITV News about the torrid time which forced her to leave social media.
I think it just makes you feel really small. It makes you feel like you're not important, that you're not valuable.
Health alerts are in force as parts of the country swelter in plus 30-degree heat. And a surprise announcement from Taylor Swift, but were the clues there all along? Will you join me for those stories and more at 6:30?
Thank you, Mary. Now then, I hope you've been enjoying the warm weather. It's been perfect for sitting outside, but lately you may have been bothered by an increasing number of wasps. That's because the dry spring and summer heat wave has created the perfect conditions for a population explosion.
Yes, the British Pest Control Association say it's been one of their busiest summers, with a surge in calls to tackle wasps' nests, and that warmer climate could mean they stick around until winter. Chloe Oliver has been finding out more.
Wasps. They're an insect that are universally disliked, but now sightings of the striped species are on the rise. The British Pest Control Association makes knowing wasps their business. They've had a rise in the number of call-outs due to the warm and dry weather conditions and say they're here to stay further into the year.
Compared to last year, it's a very busy year for pest controllers. We have lots of people up and down the country doing wasp nests. So typically the species that we find, they will tend to finish up at the end of the first frost, so up until sort of autumn, November time. However, with the warmer weather, we may see that sort of being pushed further into November as well. So I think, we just have to be aware that wasps will be here for a few more months.
PhD student Femi is part of a study looking at behaviours of an invasive species of wasp, the Asian giant hornet, using this controlled nest with sensors. She says although many of us see them as a nuisance, they do have a crucial role.
They're really important as pollinators, they're really important as nature's pest controllers, and also they're really important in many cultures around the world. So there are indigenous communities across the world, and especially in Asia, in India for example, there are communities who really depend on wasps as part of their food as well as part of their livelihood.
Just visiting a flower, having a little drink of nectar.
The charity Bug Life, which works in both Yorkshire and Lincolnshire, say they've seen higher numbers of wasps this year compared to last year. So how can we live harmoniously alongside them?
Wasps, of course, are attracted to sugary things, just like us. So if you're eating outside, it's trying to keep food covered as much as possible, have bins with lids on them. But if they approach you, just try and stay calm and don't sort of swat them away.
Whether you're an arm waver or a sit stiller, one thing is for sure, the buzz around wasps won't be going anywhere this summer. Chloe Oliver, ITV News.
Yeah, I'm afraid I'm definitely an arm waver.
Well, I
can't sit still when they're flying around you.
Don't go annoying them, they'll get you. I've had 2 wasp nests in my garden actually, which has been really
Well, they'll be
nice.
after you then.
Well, they will be, won't they?
Well, we've just heard there that the warmer and dry weather is affecting the wasp population, but of course it is affecting us as well. And as Sally mentioned at the top of the programme, England is looking at nationally significant water shortfalls, according to the National Drought Group.
But one special garden is adapting to that warmer and dry weather, and we can join our Kerry now. She's live at Benningborough Hall in North Yorkshire near York to tell us more. And Kerry, what a wonderful setting that is. It looks great.
It's absolutely beautiful, Ian and Lisa. It's gorgeous. I'm normally a wafter myself, but the bees and the wasps and the butterflies have been living in harmony with some birds today. It's absolutely beautiful. The hall and its 8-acre grounds have been here, of course, since the 1700s. And of course, the grounds have changed generation after generation. But now they're future-proofing for future generations in the light of climate change. And here to tell us a little bit more about this absolutely glorious Mediterranean garden is head gardener Sam. Sam, thanks for having us here this evening. Tell us a little bit about this project, because it's been here for a year now and it's literally flourished, hasn't it?
Yeah, so we joint work with a garden designer called Andy Sturgeon. He was taken on board to reimagine our gardens here, and he just saw inspiration from the hall, but also what we're already growing here, to kind of think about this climate resilient garden that could cope with extremes, and that's what we have.
So tell us a little bit about the plants that we've got here and how they are so resilient to our warmer summers, our wetter winters, and of course the extremes like you talk about, like the intense rainfall and the drought that is a big story today.
Yeah, so it starts with underground. We have a massive drainage system in here that's run into a big attenuation tank that holds onto the water, but also the plants. They all have kind of silvery foliage or very tight leaves, or are adapted in some way to cope with those extreme heats.
Yeah.
So they can take that extreme heat but also deal with the rain.
I absolutely love that. I mean, the border's just behind us. You would never know that you were saving rainwater and it was just going to come whenever you needed it. And you do leave it, don't you? Absolutely leave it to nature. So if it doesn't rain, then this garden just has to flourish.
Yeah, we haven't watered anything in here this year.
Yeah.
Nothing at all. So as you see, it is how it's managed to cope with this really dry spring and summer.
Absolutely. Show us some of these little spikies then, because these leaves are really important, aren't they?
Yeah, so here's Mahonia soft caress, and you can see it's got really small leaves, very thin and narrow, and that helps it keep hold of water. We also have kind of silvery foliages and
the
furry
spongy
foliage.
ones that soak it up. And what about the verbena or the verbena? Come and tell us a little bit about this. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. The bees and the butterflies have loved it today, but it's drought tolerant, is that right?
Yeah, so it's a classic cottage garden plant. Loads of people will know it, but it's also an amazing drought tolerant plant. Got, again, those very narrow leaves, lovely square stems. It holds onto the moisture really well, but also it'll see you through into the winter. So if you leave it up, the frost gets on it and it looks absolutely amazing during the winter as well.
Okay, well, we'll not talk about winter too much because we're not quite in autumn yet, but I know your next project is a wilderness, of course, trees. We could do with a little bit of shade, guys, under a tree because it has been so warm today.
Yeah, because Kerry, you've been out and about, you've been feeling the heat today. We've been sat in a nice cool studio. Have those temperatures peaked yet?
Yeah, I mean, we got to high 20s today, but we're looking at potentially maybe 34 for parts of South Yorkshire and North Nottinghamshire as we head through into tomorrow. We've just been talking, haven't we, Sam, that, you know, it is like the Mediterranean. We need a siesta, and this is almost like the best time of the day. So here's your forecast for the next few days. It is looking a little bit warmer as we head through into tomorrow.
A clear start makes way for a day of ancient discoveries. TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Yes, these surroundings thriving in the very warm conditions, but I think most of us, certainly over the next 36 hours or so, are going to find any way possible to cool down as the heat wave continues. Even warmer tomorrow with more in the way of hazy sunshine. There is the chance of a few thundery showers, but they will be the exception rather than the rule. So a little bit of low pressure, perhaps bringing some showers later tomorrow and early Thursday. But if I show you the chart for Friday, high pressure rebuilds from the north and west for Friday and into the weekend. So a lot of dry weather to come. For this evening and overnight tonight, showers nudge northwards, then it's largely dry and clear with light winds. A little bit of moisture in the air though, so perhaps some mist and fog patches as we head towards dawn. But there is sometimes as we head into Wednesday, setting around 8:35, 8:40. So tomorrow, mist and fog in the east, perhaps to begin, but soon lifting and thinning. Plenty of very warm to hot sunshine with light winds as the warm air seeps in from the south. Low 30s Celsius inland, perhaps cooler, but still with a high UV sunburn risk out towards the coast. And then for the next few days, a bit more cloud on Thursday, but that high pressure rebuilding Friday and into the weekend. See you very soon.
TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Thank you very much, Kerry. I think Kerry's due a little bit of a moment in the shade now.
I think so.
Working hard in the sunshine all
Just
day.
needs to watch out for those wasps.
Yes,
That's
definitely.
the thing.
Definitely. Don't come to your garden.
Definitely not. Now, look, let's leave you with a shot of Bedingborough Hall. In fact, that Mediterranean garden, as we say. Thanks very much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again tomorrow night at 6. From Lisa and me, and from Kerry, good night.
Bye-bye.